Baseball is dead.
Rest in peace.
It's a very special Monday. We got morning baseball today.
How about
We get the Sox and the Sox. Yeah, a little Patriots Day action, tradition unlike any other in Boston. The 11 a.m. game. Every year, folks will be like, "Oh man, you going?" Fuck no, I'm not going.
Wow.
Why? No, you know what,
Why not?
Dallas?
Why not?
I
You can't
hate
be
morning
fucking
baseball.
Patriots Day? Patriots
I
Day.
hate it. I hate morning baseball.
I mean, but Patriots Day at the ballpark in Boston is different than Patriots Day at the ballpark anywhere else. Do I need to get into the details as to why? I feel like it's just something.
I mean, yeah, there's like it's very Boston. Like I get that. Like I get the tradition and the celebration.
Do you though?
I don't like it because we're doing the fucking podcast.
Well, I can appreciate that. But I think the fan base would also understand and appreciate if you showed a little investment in this franchise for once.
So you want me to cancel the show?
No, I'm not saying, buddy.
No,
you
Dallas,
can't fucking get
Dallas,
in and get out.
Jake and I would be fine. I think that was referred to as the greatest podcast of all time.
That's true.
And you can't get in, get out. I mean, how many times am I in and out? Boom, on the road. Bam, day game. I'm here and then I'm there at the yard. Boom. I can make it happen.
Me too. I'm upstairs and then I'm downstairs and then I'm back upstairs and then I'm downstairs.
Right.
And it's
See, we bring the fucking noise, Jared, and you're bringing fucking excuses as to why you can't hang out with fellow Patriots at the Patriot game.
Go to the game? No, I mean, like, I'm just trying to fucking catch it on TV, brother.
Fucking lazy.
I mean, me and Jay, a couple of fathers of multiple children, like we're used to the early mornings. Like we could have gone at 8 a.m., but we got to fucking cater to West Coast Dallas and his schedule. You're the one that's fucking everything up. It's not us.
Oh, well, hey, sorry I chose to live in the beautiful state, Golden
Where
State.
are you right now?
I'm back home. I'm in California.
Okay. Yeah. There's nothing beautiful about it. You guys have earthquakes. You guys have I'll take my shoveling of the snow to not have to deal with the stuff you guys do.
We did just recently have an earthquake.
Yeah, California sucks.
I wouldn't go that far. It's a pretty nice place.
It's okay. Traffic's a nightmare.
Yes, you pay for the weather. That's it. As far as the people go.
Tax. Don't even get me started on the taxes.
Don't get me started. Look, I could do without the majority of the people and the tax. Okay,
right? The people suck.
It's the weather that's winning out.
The Botox. What else they got over there?
Yeah. I mean, that's a good start.
Jay, hey, get in here. What else sucks about California?
He can't.
I mean, Dallas and I have about the same grasp of California at this point. Him and his, he's got those big gates and the fences around his house so that, the commoners can't get in.
Yeah.
It's like he just flies in. He just said flies in, flies out, flies in, flies out. He's not really in touch. California is just kind of a crash pad for him at this point. His home's right here in this podcast.
You know what else sucks about California? They have way too many sports teams. If you've got 10, you've got none.
Well, the one thing I don't like, we don't need to dive into this. One thing I just don't like is the lack of passion behind the majority of sports teams. I love Midwest/East Coast sports fandom because there's a level of psychosis involved where like you can just understand the crazy and everybody in the room understands the crazy. That doesn't necessarily go the same here on the West Coast. Like people appreciate your love and undying passion and relentless support. But like when you start to like threaten violence for some people, like that's where they draw the line. And I feel like that's where the party's just starting on the East Coast with sports fandom.
You're right, Dallas.
I have the opposite take on the number of sports teams. I like how they have so many because when you sit and think about it, sometimes you remember that they have teams that you've totally forgotten about. Like you're like, oh, the Anaheim Ducks are in California.
Yeah.
Right? Like, when's the last time you thought about that? Yeah, you're like, oh, the Dodgers, Lakers, Giants. We hear so much about these 49ers. And you're like, oh, they also have the Ducks. You got the San Jose Sharks.
The Sacramento Kings.
Basically hockey. The Sacramento Kings.
Mm-hmm.
Who have a pretty good... Yeah, the Clips, who are... fighting. That was a pretty good game over the weekend.
It's huge.
The
Clippers Nugs.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but anyway.
Name a random California team, Dallas.
We've just named them all.
I want you to name another one.
Oh,
We've named them.
That's
all.
the trivia question. Can you name another California sports team?
we've got a few. We've got some meat left on the bone.
Yeah.
Not even that random, just the teams. I mean, we've
Well,
got
like professional sports. Is that what we're talking? Like the Golden State Warriors? Is that what you're asking for? Like that's
I
one.
guess.
Nailed it.
That's a dynastic basketball team. I don't know that they're just a throw in. That's a fucking dynasty.
You didn't. The one team we haven't named is the Rams.
The Los Angeles Rams.
Yeah.
Yeah. We have another team that's so
the LA
forgotten
Chargers.
Chargers haven't been named yet.
Well,
I mean, these aren't random teams, though. These are
they're random to somebody in New England, I suppose.
Yeah,
from
these are
Saugus
marquee franchises in.
What about the Golden State Valkyries?
There's a
what do you
good
know
one.
about the WNBA, brother?
Yeah, well, not much.
Apparently, and it shows.
Yeah, well, hand up.
There's a Major League Soccer team in California that's quite insensitive. The San Jose Earthquakes. Hello. You can't like that's like being like, oh, the fucking Simi Valley wildfires. Like what? Like why would you be called the Earthquakes? I don't get that. That's insensitive, and I don't like it.
I don't.
LA Sparks.
Yeah, the LA Sparks.
I don't like it.
Down on the Sparks. So you hate women's basketball, is what you're saying? I
believe that was a soccer team.
Wow.
You hate women's basketball so much that you thought that a soccer team was actually a women's basketball team. So you don't even know like the WNBA teams in California. It was an MLS team, I believe.
Who?
No. Who?
The Earthquakes.
No, I know who the Earthquakes are, pal.
No, you don't.
I'm well acquainted with who the Earthquakes are. Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, why don't you look up who the Earthquakes are, and you'll find out why I know who the Earthquakes are.
They're an MLS team. Dallas is such a fraud California guy. Like you belong in like fucking like where does Dallas look like he's from? Because it's not California. Dallas looks like he's from like
he's got maybe like a little New Mexico going on.
No,
maybe some Oregon, New Mexico.
Yeah, he looks like he's from Utah.
Utah?
Yeah. Yeah,
but they got rules about the way I look.
Dallas, you're a Wyoming looking motherfucker. That's what you are.
Wyoming.
Yeah.
Hey, catch me on Yellowstone, bro. It's all good. I'll see you at the Yellowstone. Take you a little. You want to go for a ride to the train station?
I've never seen a more Wyoming looking guy than Dallas Braden. Yeah. You ever met someone from Wyoming?
No.
I have a friend who moved to Idaho.
I got lots of friends who have just moved to Idaho recently, like last 3 years.
Must be a hot spot.
It is.
Do they know John Montgomery?
I'll have to ask. I don't.
Okay.
I don't.
All right. Do they know John Montgomery from Idaho?
Famous people from Wyoming. Dallas Braden. None of these people are real. I don't recognize one. Dick Cheney. That's it.
Not great.
Yeah.
I don't recognize another name on the famous people from Wyoming list besides Dick Cheney.
They gotta have
Dick Cheney and Dallas Braden. That's it.
They gotta have. You're on Wikipedia. I'm gonna pull up the same list.
I just Googled it. Yeah, famous people from Wyoming.
You're going about.
Anyways, speaking of basketball, Underdog just dropped their playoff basketball promo with the extender. You can play your way to increasingly bigger boosts each round of the playoffs. Start a playoff series by using your game one boost and continue boosting each subsequent game to unlock the next one. The longer the series, the bigger the boost. You're going to want to see how serious it gets when that game 7 hits. Hop on Underdog, the best place to make picks during the playoff basketball extravaganza, and get started right now. Make sure you sign up with the promo code Jared. That's Jared to get up to $1,000 in bonus credits and a special pick on Underdog. That's Underdog Fantasy promo code Jared. Today's a big episode of Baseball is Dead. I feel like not to insult what you've built, Jay. I feel like because we've accrued new listeners over the off season, since the last time we've done this, why don't you explain exactly what the Baines Meter is? Because today is a Baines Meter episode. We're not going to, in case you haven't seen on Twitter or the many people that have talked about it, I saw it on USA Today. They were talking about it on the Good Morning America. In case you haven't seen a spoiler out there, I'm not going to give you the name of who will be inducted into the Baines Institute on this particular episode. But Jay, would you care to give a background on what the Baines Meter is all about?
Of course. So it's obviously named in honor of Hall of Famer Harold Baines, who, when he was backdoor inducted into the Baseball Hall of Fame through his lackeys and friends and stuff like that, it got me to look a little bit closer, and I realized that if that's the new standard for Cooperstown for the Baseball Hall of Fame, then we should be honoring the people who pass it in a given season. And his career wins above replacement mark was 38.8 at the time of induction, and that's obviously the mark that's become very famous now because of the Baines Meter. So every time a player passes his career wins above replacement of 38.8, can't reach it, you got to pass it. We celebrate him right here on this podcast. So I won't say who it is, but we will be celebrating our first person of the 2025 season to cross the Baines line and join Club 38.8.
There you go. There you go. So yeah, big episode with that.
Huge. Usually does some of the biggest numbers we do all year when we induct somebody into the club.
Who was the last member to go in?
Alex Bregman, mid-September of last season.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. Last year was a slow one. We only had 2 people all year. I believe in 2023, we had, off the top of my head, we had 7 or 8. And that's the type of number we're looking at this year if things hold. So Chapman's the first one, but we could be having this same conversation later this week or next week, depending on how things go, about another player or maybe even 2 players.
You know what, Jay? Why don't we just...
No, let's just do it. I mean, let's just do it.
Why not?
Congratulations to the man at the hot corner, Matt Chapman, the Platinum Glover, the real Platinum player. He's done it over the weekend. The Giants' third baseman cleared the Baines line. He becomes the first player of the 2025 season to do so. And what makes this such a fascinating one, obviously huge accomplishment for Matt, specifically the greatest accomplishment of his career to date. I know we're talking about a man with a platinum glove. I know we're talking about a man with more than $100 million in career earnings. We're talking about guys registered MVP votes. But today is the biggest day of Matt Chapman's life. 38.9 wins above replacement is his total entering play on Monday. And he does so in basically the exact opposite fashion of how Harold Baines reached his famous mark. He played in 1,786 fewer games. He racked up 6,761 fewer plate appearances. He did it while getting 1,952 fewer hits and 198 home runs. So I want everybody to digest those numbers really fast, because that's like entire careers worth of production for some people. I said 1,952 hits. There are 4 active players with more career hits than that: Freeman, Altuve, McCutchen, and Goldschmidt. The gap between Matt Chapman and Harold Baines in career hits is more hits than Manny Machado has recorded in his career or Nolan Arenado has recorded in their entire careers. In terms of plate appearances, 6,761 was the gap between Chapman and Harold Baines. That is more plate appearances than Mike Trout's entire Major League Baseball career. So if you add Mike Trout and Matt Chapman, that is how long Harold Baines played for to get to 38.8. Matt Chapman did it over the weekend, and number one of what should be a long, long list. Obviously, Chapman's playing some great ball over there in San Francisco, but It's going to be tough, even if they go on to win the World Series. It's going to be hard to top April 21st, 2025 in Matt Chapman's life. So congratulations to him. Tip of the cap. And I hope it kicks off a great year for the Baines Meter and Club 38.8. Thank you.
Wow. What an incredible run.
Yeah.
That's a body of work right there.
Yeah, don't applaud me. Applaud Matt, just so everybody's clear.
Both.
Yeah.
It's both.
And Harold. Obviously, the guy we do this
set the bar.
The guy we do this all for. So
that's right. What a day.
The speech aside, I do it is fascinating, Chapman specifically, just to elaborate on a point, because you have a guy who's so much of his career has been derived the value has been derived defensively. Not that he's some schmuck offensively, career 119 OPS plus. So he's obviously, an impactful offensive player, but I just outlined how he's played, less than half basically of the career of Harold Baines, who derived basically all of his value, as an offensive force. And I think that's additionally interesting because, like, you think of Harold Baines as an offense first player, which is true. And you think of Matt Chapman as a defense first player, which is true because it's so superlative. But Harold Baines' career OPS plus was 121. So we're really talking about pretty equivalent offensive players when you neutralize for era and stuff like that. And I just think that contrast is particularly interesting at this time. But yeah, congrats to Chapman, who obviously has a lot of good baseball left and is playing some of his best baseball right now. So he'll cruise on past.
It's crazy. Congratulations. This is a big year for the Baines Meter. We kind of teased all winter, there could be a record number of inductees in 2025. This is just the beginning. This is merely the beginning. So be on the Baines Meter watch as we continue to roll through the 2025 season. It was a weekend of deleted tweets. And I go back to Thursday because we were at AEW. Jake, Eamon, Jeremy, Steve, many taking in their first ever live wrestling shows. And on that evening, Jazz Chisholm struck out looking on a pitch that was, to me, right down the plate. But a lot of people said it was a few inches outside the zone. Went into the clubhouse after he was ejected and, voiced his displeasure about the situation. And I saw the tweet, thought it was very funny. I almost didn't believe it. I was like, this has to be someone pretending to be Jazz. No, it was Jazz. And, as someone who is quite familiar with the repercussions of Major League Baseball players using their phones during games, especially social media in particular, I knew you can't do that. There was once upon a time a player by the name of Pablo Sandoval, 3-time World Series champion, World Series MVP. He used his phone to use social media during a game.
What it was for, just to be social.
In 2015, I believe he was looking at pictures of inappropriate women content. And he ended up getting suspended for that. The Red Sox suspended him for it. And I'm sure a fine came with it. And there was public shame. And I don't think he ever really recovered. His career never recovered after that moment, which was a real shame. Someone to have fallen from grace like that. So when I see Jazz Chisholm tweeting while the Yankees are still playing, I understand he's ejected from the game, whereas Sandoval was still in the lineup. He was in the game. I knew the repercussions were coming, and they were coming quickly. And to Jazz Chisholm's surprise, he was fined for this and was confused. He was like, "Well, I was ejected. I wasn't in the game anymore. I thought I could do that." Well, you can't. And what did the tweet say? He's like, "That was like fucking bullshit" or something like that.
Well, that's what I'm trying to...
fucking awful call or something. He was criticizing the umpire's call, which again, it was close. It was borderline. I thought it had plenty of play.
Oh, he said not even fucking close.
Yeah, that's the line. So he was fined for it and deleted the tweet. Over the weekend, though, there was no drama there. That's just Jazz being Jazz. I thought it was funny. It was harmless. Over the weekend, Ronald Acuña Jr. Superstar, MVP, 40-70. This is a man who is amongst, when healthy, in the conversation for one of the best players in Major League Baseball. Right now, he's not healthy. So he has the ability to be on Twitter.com. Not calling it X, it's Twitter. And Jared Kelenic, who admittedly has struggled quite a bit to start the year, to open the year. Kelenic hits a ball that he thinks is gone, and he's pimping it. He's holding up the bat. He's slow trotting out the box. And then he realizes, oh shit, this is still in the yard. Turns on the jets. Tries to at least salvage the embarrassment of pimping a home run that's not a home run by being like, well, at least I got a double out of it. Well, no, you didn't. Because Jared Kelenic got thrown out at second base on a ball that he thought was a homer and should have been an easy double for him. A, that can't happen for anybody. B, can't happen when you're hitting sub 200. If you're struggling to start the year like that, it's an awful look for anyone. It's an even worse look when you're not exactly tearing the cup. Like if Aaron Judge did that, you'd be like, yeah, it's Aaron Judge. Like if when Aaron Judge hits a home run, like he knows that he got it. So rare mistake by Judge. It wasn't. It was Jared Kelenic who's not doing well. So this gets tweeted out by one of the beat guys who covers the Atlanta Braves, and Ronald Acuña Jr., who is he's a guy that's online. It was Mark Bowman, and Ronald Acuña Jr. responds to the tweet about not hustling out of the box and says, quote, "If it were me, they would take me out of the game." The tweet was deleted about an hour later. And he's not wrong. Why he's saying this is because this did happen to him at some point in 2019, I believe it was, where he hit a ball, thought it was a home run, ended up getting cut down, and it's a whole thing. Gets taken out of the game. I believe, correct me if I'm wrong, Jay Hay, was he also benched a game after that?
Who's this?
Acuña Jr.
Yes.
Yes. So he was taken out of the game an inning later, and then he was benched for a game as further punishment. Not just the embarrassment of being taken out of the game was not enough. He was also benched for a game for doing this. Snitker, the Braves manager, and this is a bad look on him too, because he's like, "Hey, I'm not on social media, so I didn't see what Ronnie said." If you're a manager, you don't need a public account or whatever, but like you should be at least looking at it to keep an eye on your guys. Like I feel like that's part of your job. I know if you're an older manager, you're like part of you's like, are you fucking kidding me? Like I have to like babysit social media. You don't need a public account. Like there's managers that have public accounts and they're on and they tweet, they do whatever. But you should at least be monitoring what's going on. Like it shouldn't be a surprise to you that your star player was chirping on social media and you weren't aware of it. The other thing that didn't look great on Snit was he said he didn't see Kelenic do that. So it wasn't brought to his attention, and which I don't know. I'm going to ask you guys, so be prepared.
What do you mean brought to your attention?
Snitker was not aware
the game.
Huh?
Yeah, Snitker's not aware that Kelenic pimped it out of the box.
Yes.
And then got hosed at second.
He knew that he got hosed at second. He didn't know that he lollygagged and pimped it out of the box, is what he said.
Yeah. Well, I got to be honest. That would take about 3 seconds to find out, because somebody in that dugout should have made him aware of what happened.
Yeah,
should have just simply asked.
No.
Did you see it out of the box?
Snitker asked after the game if he had spoken to Kelenic, replied, "Was I supposed to?" He said after Sunday's game he did not see the play until that morning and talked about it with Kelenic then.
Yeah.
Per The Athletic.
So there you go.
Yeah. So, I mean, if you're taking what the manager is saying at face value, if you're taking what Snit is saying and believing it to be true, then the ball gets hit, his eyes go to the play, and that's what he's watching. He never sees Kelenic out of the box. If that is indeed fact, the fact that it took an entire day for that to be brought to his attention, for him to be informed that the play unfolded that way, that's another thing. I mean, that's a completely separate thing.
That's an indictment on so many people. That's an indictment on Snit for not seeing it. That's an indictment on the bench coach for not seeing it and relaying it to Snit, or a player in the dugout to not relay it, or someone on the field to see it and not.
Everybody.
The fucking beat writers. How is he not being asked about that immediately after the game? Like, there's so many people where I'm like, hey, where was the communication breakdown here? I don't understand that at all.
Yeah, that's exactly where my mind went. Is there's nobody in the fucking room that saw what happened that could say something that just no. There's nobody in the dugout. Nobody saw that. That's what you would have to believe. That's the train of thought you would have to subscribe to actually believe those words that I didn't see. So, okay, you didn't see it in real time. Great. Nobody said anything to you during that half inning. Nobody said anything to you the next half inning. Nobody said anything to you after the game. You went home and nobody said anything to you. Not until the next morning were you aware that happened. Like, there's a difference between trying to keep the room tight and then trying to keep the room tight and making an ass out of the room because you're trying to keep it tight. And it feels like that's something that you're walking dangerously close to, because like you and I are talking about right now, that becomes an indictment on a lot of other people directly around him that have the responsibility to communicate these types of things, that at least have the responsibility to be aware of these types of things. Because if a guy gets hosed at second and it's because he stumbled out of the box, there's probably going to be somebody that lets the manager know what happened. The manager's not going to wait or not know until the next morning that he stumbled out of the box. That's why he got hosed at second. The same rings true for a guy who is a 15 homer a year guy pimping a ball that doesn't get out of the ballpark. Like, we're going to know about that. We know about that right away. The video room knows about that right away because they're replaying it. What happened here? Well, this is what happened. Is he was jogging out of the box, and then not until he saw the ball not leave the ballpark did he decide to step on it, and it was late. And all of that happens in mere minutes. That gets communicated in minutes.
There's no scenario where someone doesn't look bad here, because let's say it's the other scenario where Snit did see it. It's like, you've already set the precedent that if this happens, you get taken out of the game and you get benched for another game. And it just seems ass backwards that he would have seen that and protected Kelenic, but then gone so hard on his star player in Acuña.
Well, so it's not about like, and this is where I am separating what we've just talked about and dipping into a realm where if you're Snitker, maybe this is a train of thought where I can't let the superstar set that tone. I can't let the superstar set that precedent, because if I do, then I'll have guys like Jared Kelenic pimping homers and not hustling out of the box. And I can't do that. So now that you have that exact scenario that you were potentially trying to avoid by holding your superstar accountable, well, it's now in your lap. And you do have the ability to go back in time, because it was something that he did not do intentionally. He did not hustle intentionally. It wasn't an accident that he didn't hustle. It was intentional. I think I got this. Fuck, I didn't get all of that. I need to get to second. You can go back and watch that play unfold, and he is still as responsible for it today as he was yesterday, which means there's action that can still be taken. You cannot lose the room. You cannot lose your superstar by doing what's right, by addressing this. So I don't know if a suspension is what Ronnie needs to see to feel like, hey, you do have my back and I'm not being treated differently. Or if it's a conversation where Snit says, look, Ronnie, I got to be honest. When it happened with you, my thought was, you're so good and you impact us on such a level that if I allow you to start to do these things, other guys are going to see how you're behaving and how you're reacting to stuff like this. And I can't let that become a bigger problem. All right. So you're a great player, and I need you to shift some things. I need you to do this a little differently. And if you do that, I promise you the rest of the boys in that room are going to follow. So if you're having that conversation, I don't know how that turns out. That's something I would probably suggest, but there has to be something done. There has to be some sort of communication. This just looks terrible.
So before I quick cleanup on what I said earlier, it does not look like Acuña was suspended following the game that he was pulled. He was just pulled from the game where that occurred. So I didn't want to incorrectly answer Jared's question there, but so Brian Snitker seems universally respected both externally and internally. Obviously, he's a Braves lifer, right? There are multiple instances where cited where he has backed publicly the same players that he is accused of criticizing publicly, but the reporting around this made sure to note that it's not just Acuña in 2019. He pulled Ender Inciarte in July of 2018, and he pulled Marcell Ozuna in June of 2023. So I'm not saying that this is a race thing, and I'm not saying that Brian Snitker is racist or is thinking along these lines, but there's clearly a perception, if it's being reported by Ken Rosenthal in The Athletic, that 100% of the instances of this are for Latino players as opposed to Jared Kelenic, who is not that, then maybe that's how Ronald Acuña is viewing the situation, the lens that he's viewing it from, even if everybody is simultaneously also considering Brian Snitker to be a great manager who has the respect of his clubhouse. Like, this seems to be a consistency and perspective thing as much as anything. Like, if you're setting the standard that this sort of behavior generally gets you pulled or benched or whatever it is, and he has these excuses for why he didn't expect to see, like, to the point earlier that Dallas was saying, Snitker basically said that he didn't see him coming out of the box because he always plays with his hair on fire. This was said last year, but in reference to Jared Kelenic, always plays with his hair on fire. So basically, why would he need to watch somebody out of the box that plays like that? Or why would he be expected to watch him every time? I don't know. It's that Ronald Acuña called it out, to me, is more interesting than all of the other parts of this put together, because Jared Kelenic is probably going to be not part of this team in the long term. He may actually be the guy who loses his roster spot when Ronald Acuña comes back, which would be a level of poetry, I guess, in some way. But like, Acuña is the guy under contract. He's the guy who matters. He's the guy that has to be kept happy to a degree. And that's inclusive of Brian Snitker. Like, managers are great, but we don't need to be shown yet again that managers are way more exchangeable than franchise players to learn that lesson.
Yeah, I really do think that, I mean, for one, to your point about the perception, if you have 3 examples set before you and they are involving the people they're involving, and then you have another example like this pop up and there is no action whatsoever, you can understand why Ronnie might feel, like you said, Jay, feel the way he does, or might look at it the way he does. He's going, well, look, there's been 3 examples of this, and we all look alike, and we all received the same treatment. But now there's somebody who doesn't look like us who has done the same thing, and the first response, the first line of defense is, oh, I didn't see it. Okay, well, great. We live in a world, I swear to God, this is possible. You can go back and look at yesterday. You can see what happened yesterday. So if there is any desire to maintain a level of accountability or maintain a level of integrity when it comes to how we're handling these things, wouldn't it stand to reason that this has to be addressed? This has to be addressed in some way. And whether it's, well, I mean, what do you want? Put it like this. What do you want Snit to do? You want him to put him in the starting lineup and then pull him while he's walking up to his first at bat of the game and go, all right, everybody, you see what I'm doing? I'm pulling Kelenic out of the game, and it's to punish him because of what he did. Is everybody happy? Like, is that what Snit would do? Or is Snit not starting him? Is that punishment enough?
Yeah.
Or is the response going to be, well, he's not a fucking starter anyway. Who gives a shit? Well, like, you know, like, is this a can't win scenario already?
And I'm not, well, No, I think it still has the opportunity to just kind of blow over. And I'm not like, I don't want to come off as hand wringing over a guy not hustling out of the box in one game out of 162. Like I'm not being that guy, but that an issue now exists because your franchise player called it to attention in a social media post is now a very relevant thing. Like now it does matter. And because he clearly cares, and it doesn't really matter to what we're talking about with the how a person looks or who's previously been punished for this. It's not about whether Ronnie's right or Snitker's right or whatever perspective on that is correct. It's optics. That the perception exists at all, or the possibility that it does, or that Ronnie's frustrated and feels like he's not being treated fairly for whatever reason. That is a real thing that could have real impact if it's not diffused. And Brian Snitker has a lot of experience as a manager and seems to be a very good manager the vast majority of the time. Maybe he can be the one to diffuse this situation and we're not talking about it next week. But it does seem like something was simmering here with Acuña, who, to your point, is not playing. So maybe that leads to.
Oh, yeah, he's frustrated.
Yeah.
For sure. There's frustration there. But what you have to make sure that doesn't happen is that this frustration starts to permeate throughout the clubhouse, right? Because, and this is taking it to the next level, but there's a saying, and it really is surrounded more about people who are in situations that they do not like at all, or maybe you're injured and you just can't be positive. And it's misery loves company. Misery loves company. So what happens when things are not going well for you? Is there anybody else that's not having a good time? Let's talk about it. Can you believe this shit's happening? Can you believe this dude? Can you believe this is our manager? This is what's going on. But like, he doesn't care. He doesn't give a like, do you want that happening? You don't want that happening. And you definitely don't want it coming from the dude. You definitely don't want it coming from your guy.
I mean, I've been in the exact same situation, not the exact, but like a very similar situation as Ronnie. And I pulled the trigger on the tweet. Like I remember when I first had left Barstool to go to DraftKings, and they did some, like there was an embargo, like I was not allowed to go on their shows because I was at DraftKings. But then they did some, maybe it was a draft show, and they had McAfee on, who was with FanDuel. And I can't remember what I said, but I remember tweeting some sort of snarky comment about it. It's like, yeah, there's different rules for different guys. Like it's a problem if I'm on, but this guy can do it. Like, why is that not an issue? Same thing with Acuña. It's like, if it were me, I'd get fucking benched for it. I would get, I'd be in trouble for it, but it's okay if he does it. Like, what the fuck? So yeah, I've been in a spot where you probably shouldn't tweet something or acknowledge publicly that this bothers you. It's hard not to pull the trigger sometimes. I get it.
And I do, to that final point, like I do think Acuña has to own a level of not blame here, but like a share of that this is now a problem, because this isn't Ronald Acuña is not 21 years old. Like he has been in the major leagues for a very long time. He is considered a superstar and presumably a front and center team leader on the Atlanta Braves. And this didn't have to become this sort of situation. And I'm not putting the blame back on him for what he feels like is unfair treatment, but I don't think he's blame free here for tweeting that out and making this a much larger issue than it ever had to be necessarily, even if it was mismanaged from the start before he got involved.
Oh, no, I'm not saying he's absolved.
I'm not saying you were saying that. Yeah.
No, I'm just saying I get the temptation to want to be like, hello, 100%. Like, what the fuck?
It's the most relatable thing ever.
Yeah. It doesn't mean that it was the right call. Because now, not that I'm going to do this, but I'm sure that there are some people that are calling Acuña's good teammate status into question. Like you're calling out the behavior of your teammate while also calling out your own manager. Like you don't want to do that.
No. There's a reason why managers are really excited about their best players in the room also being individuals of high character, because there's just a standard and an expectation set in the room for certain behaviors. And and I'm not telling you that Ronnie's a low character guy. That's not what I'm saying at all. What I'm saying is it makes the manager's life and job a lot easier when that standard is set and already self-policed in the room. When you have your superstar player feeling strongly enough about how he's being treated and seemingly in his mind, probably being treated unfairly, and he feels strongly enough to vocalize that, that's different.
Yeah.
That's different. All right. Who's your high dollar guy? Who's your middle order of the bat? Imagine on your team, that's the guy not happy with how he's being treated and verbalizing that. That's
and I know that we've kind of beaten this into the ground and he's become the example out of it. But to the point that you guys made earlier about him having not played since last year, only being limited to like 50 games and then not playing yet this year, a lot of time on the sidelines. So you're bitter about not playing. And then if I'm him, I'm looking around, like I got pissed about Tatis getting 340. Now I'm certainly pissed about Soto getting 765. Vladdy now getting 500. I'm like, man, my contract looks shittier and shittier by the day. Like I'm feeling a little bit bitter because I'm also looking around being like, let's see, I have an MVP. Does Vladdy? No. Does Tatis? No. Does Soto? No. Like I am bitter if I am Ronald Acuña Jr.
And that's okay. But you want to know what? You helped make that bed.
Sure.
You enjoyed making that bed.
You signed the deal.
You lied down in that
$100 million. I get it. He's taken care of. His kids are taken care of. It's $100 million. He's not struggling by any means. But again, I go back to the Pedro thing where he openly talked about dollar amount equating to respect. And I could see how, especially when you have that much time away from the thing that you are known for, it's your identity, being a baseball player, being a star player, you have that taken from you. And then you just have nothing but your thoughts to sit with for a year. And while you watch all these other guys get paid 5x, 7x what you got paid, I'm just not ruling out the idea that he's in a not the best headspace, which makes it even more likely that you're going to fire off a tweet and not think twice about it. You're just like, yeah, whatever, dude. Like, I'm fucking miserable. I'm pissed.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, and you hate to look, yeah, I don't know that it ever gets to here, and you'd like to think that it doesn't, but a disgruntled employee that makes for a turbulent workplace, we know what happens with employees like that.
Well, I'm sure that they'll figure it out. That's the only manager he's ever known. I'm sure we can't speak to their relationship. It could be a father-son type, a father figure type relationship. We don't know. Can't speak to it. Don't have any Braves insiders that can speak to their relationship. But I think it's a story because people are talking about, like, kind of like how, you know, we got shit for talking about the Soto Judge thing. They're like, it's a non-story. The only people that were saying that were Mets fans.
Yeah, people that don't want it to be a story.
Right. The people that don't want it to be a story were the people that were saying it's not a story. It was a story because people were talking about it. Is this a story? Yeah, because people are talking about it. Could it end up being a non-story where there's no rift between Snit and Acuña? Yeah, sure. But today it's a story.
And in terms of like accusations of fabricating or manufacturing the narrative or the story, like both of these are stories because of the players themselves saying or communicating the reason for the controversy, right? Like this isn't people making stuff up out of thin air. This isn't shielded reports. This isn't according to sources. This is Juan Soto speaking into a microphone saying, I miss having Aaron Judge behind me. And Ronald Acuña sending out a tweet saying, if it was me, I would have been benched. And that's why they're stories, because it's the players front and center.
Yeah. Because remember,
I feel like
as
we've
fans,
lost sight of that.
Yeah. Well, and just remember, as fans, this is what you've asked for. This is what you want. You want to hear emotion from the player. And why do you want it? Because it's going to make you think about what they're saying on a different level. Like, oh, wow, is there any credence to this? And the reason you're thinking that, like Jay just said, is because of who is saying it. That's why. That's why it matters.
Yeah. So I think the only misstep by Acuña is not firing off the "I never say that" tweet after. Just not going into full-blown denial mode that he never said that. That's good. Like if he just made that a recurring bit where he spoke how he really felt, deleted it, and then when it became a story, he just said, "I never said that." That's what he should be doing. Be a great bit. Dallas, do you have any words for Brent Honeywell getting his World Series ring and making a speech in front of his teammates? I know that was probably I don't know if it's unconfirmed at this time, but there was actually a rumor that Brent Honeywell's World Series ring was bigger than every other player's ring.
I love the picture. You know, you see the picture, they're all together. It makes me feel good. It makes me feel good because in the moment, I know, I was the one fucking leading the charge, and his teammates supported everything that I was saying at the moment. Like, you guys understand how important this outing is, blah, blah, blah. Like, Brent Honeywell pitching today saves the World Series. His teammates felt that way, so much so that they talked about it. They give him the love. They shower him with all of the championship vibes. And so to be able to step back into a place that you helped bring back to prominence, Jared, I think it's fitting. It's fitting for a World Series hero.
I'm glad he's getting praise and positive reinforcement, but the sentiment from the other players in the room were like, "Man, you fucking sucked, but like, thank you for just getting your ass beat so that we didn't have to use our good relievers because you're horrible. If it weren't for that ass beating that you took in NLCS Game 5, it's a good thing we didn't have to use the guys of actual value. So thanks, man." And he was like, "I love you guys. You're the best. What a run." You know, I don't know. But I understand. On the other hand, I understand. Every team needs that guy that's going to take the bullets. You need a mop-up guy. Like, he's a mop-up guy, and the way that he gets talked about is like he fucking closed out 7 straight playoff games on the mound. Like, he was horrible.
You gotta respect the presence.
I do.
If it's not him, Jared, if he's not taking those fucking arrows, then who is it? Who is it? It's somebody else that you need in a leverage spot. It's somebody else that you're running out there to get important outs. If you want that guy available, you need Brent Honeywell. And they all know that. That's why his ring's just a little bigger. That's why there's more diamonds in it. That's why it's heavier, because he fucking earned it.
I'm with Jared on this one. He's the first person we've ever in our lives talked about as the mop-up man in a World Series getting credit. We've never one time spent time talking about a mop-up man in the World Series. Oh, look at those bad innings he absorbed in those blowouts. No, we've never, ever spent any other time talking about all mop-up men.
You need that. You need that.
Whether you do or do not, it's fine.
Yeah. I mean, look, if you're scoffing at the 4.7 ERA in the NLCS, you're looking at the wrong numbers. You're looking at the wrong numbers.
ERA in the World Series.
No. I'm looking at the 7 2/3. What'd you say?
I'm looking at the 12 hits and 9 earned runs in 8 2/3 innings that he allowed in the playoffs last year.
Yeah,
and the way that the Dodgers rally around this guy, and they're like, "Man, if it wasn't for him, we wouldn't be here right now." It's like, well, if you had a better reliever, then you could have lost less games. Like, I understand you guys basically ran through the playoffs, but I don't know. Brent Honeywell, he's the best, man.
He's absolutely. You're lumping in his World Series performance. Yeah, that's right. That's right.
Yeah. Good job, Brent.
You're lumping in his one inning of work in the World Series with the rest of the valiant effort in the NLDS. That's where your problem is. Or the NLCS.
Don't you take that inning away from him. Who else would have pitched that inning, man?
Hey, it's
who
all
else
about
would
the
have
World
given
Series.
up 5 earned in that inning?
It's
8
about
hits,
getting there. That's the
8
conversation.
4 earned runs in 7 2/3 innings is also still not good.
No, but that's why I said, Jared, you're looking at the wrong numbers, right? Like, if you want to look at the fact that they hit over 300 against them, you're looking at the wrong numbers. You're looking at the wrong numbers.
Was he still alive at the end of the World Series? Like,
I don't want to hear you tell me
that's the number. What is his heart rate at the end of the World Series?
Right.
Oh, so he yielded a north of 400 on base percentage. I don't care.
His performance in the playoffs was so heroic that he fielded 0 offers. Is still a free agent right now. You could have.
You ever heard of what?
Shit, he can come back tomorrow and get another ring if you guys.
You ever heard of riding off into the sunset, Jared? You ever heard of that, pal?
How old is he that he's riding off into the sunset?
30. I guess.
Yeah, he's 30. He's a new 30.
Hey,
he just turned 30 less than a month ago. So he's freshly out of his 20s, riding off into the sun. Why don't you go to the A's front office and say, like, hey, there's a difference maker out there right now. Like, if we want to make it to October, I know just the guy.
Brent Honeywell.
Do you guys not have a need for a dude to mop up shitty innings?
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know.
Brent Honeywell has pitched for the
9
Athletics.
Stolen bases hung on your ass. You can find time for Brent Honeywell.
Right. He seems like a great guy. He looks like he's beloved in the Dodger clubhouse.
Oh, he's
so and I want to give him all the praise for being a great guy.
Yes.
But
why
never in my life have I seen a mop-up pitcher get a tongue bath like Brent Honeywell. I've never seen it.
Hey, that's why that's a lesson to be learned. All right. Lesson to be learned. It pays to be a good dude. It pays to be a decent human being.
Apparently it doesn't, because he doesn't have a job.
No, he's a world champion. He is a world champion.
Paid.
Yeah, you said it pays.
It paid
handsomely.
It pays to be. Yeah. It did not pay, ultimately, the narrator says.
No.
The payment stopped.
Jury's still out. Jury's still out.
Yeah. Currently 0 cash flow.
Yeah, I think we're on the horn with the A's front office already. I think we're firing off some texts. Get Honeywell in camp. See what we can do. Get him down to the extended spring.
Yeah.
Maybe reopen extended spring just for him. It's probably closed now.
Maybe he is fielding offers and he's just he's waiting to see which playoff team he wants to hitch his wagon to get his doors blown off in those blowout games in the playoffs.
You're calling him like kind of the new Roger Clemens, out of the bullpen mop-up style?
Yeah. Brent Honeywell only pitches home games. He only comes into games that we're losing by 8 runs or more.
The fact that you two are finding glory and joy in slandering one of the greatest.
Give me a fucking break. The fact that Brent Honeywell's in the rundown, Jared brought him up, is a gift.
It's a gift.
You guys have
Was he not in the rundown?
Feeding into the problem. No, he wasn't. I didn't put him in. But that's why you're free to freelance. That's why it's good.
No respect.
It's good.
Yeah.
Probably the best segment, Brent Honeywell.
I think, you know what, Jay? Hey, I'm going to wait until he signs with it because I know he is. I'm going to wait until he signs with the team before I download the Game Time app because I want to go see him pitch. I want to make sure that I see his next appearance.
Well, you said the A's are coming to Boston in September. Is that right?
Yeah, it's late. Yeah.
Well, there you go. He'll be on the roster by then.
Yeah. Yep. The A's will be 2-3 games up on that third wild card. They would have just recently signed Brent Honeywell for the playoff push because who else is going to pitch those blowout innings in the playoffs? So that's why you get to download the Game Time app so you can go see Brent Honeywell pitching for the A's in October. Playoff innings.
That's right.
He's making the roster. He's towing the slab, Dallas, as they say. Game Time makes getting tickets even faster and easier. Prices on the Game Time app actually go down the closer that it gets the first pitch with killer last-minute deals, all-in prices, views from your seat, and their lowest price guarantee. Game Time takes the guesswork out of buying MLB tickets. I don't know how much that first Brent Honeywell game is going to cost, but it's inconsequential to me. Like you name the price, I'm paying it, but I know that Game Time makes sure that I get the best price, which is why I use Game Time. Last minute deals, save up to 60% off by buying last minute tickets for sports, concerts, comedy, theater, Brent Honeywell appearances. They have the tickets. I know that's unbelievable that tickets would be available for something like that, but they are. Game Time Picks makes last minute ticket buying even easier than ever by quickly highlighting the best deals in the stadium. Save even more when you choose a section and you let Game Time choose the seats for you. When you toggle the all-in pricing, you can see the total up front with no surprise fees at checkout. Get a panoramic view from your seat in the app before you buy your tickets. The lowest price guarantee, your Game Time will credit you 110% of the difference. Your purchase is covered with the most flexible customer service policy in the ticketing industry today. Take the guesswork out of buying tickets with Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, use the promo code BID for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account and use the promo code BID for $20 off. Download the Game Time app today. Last minute tickets, lowest price, guaranteed. So I was not watching the Yankee game yesterday. And I got a notification on my phone that Aaron Boone had been ejected. And I was like, I knew what was happening in the game. I knew the Yankees were winning. And I knew that Max Fried had a no-hitter going. And so I was like, I saw Boone got ejected, went into the MLB app, saw that the Yankees were batting. Like, I could understand if, like he was arguing balls and strikes on behalf of Max Fried, who had a no-hitter going. That would have made sense to me. But when I saw the Yankees were batting, Max Fried has a no-hitter going, and you're winning, I was like, Booney, what are we doing here? How are you getting ejected in this game, all things considered? Then you look up what happened. Aaron Judge hits a ball down the line. Some people called it fair. Some people called it foul. The people that called it foul, ultimately, their opinions meant more. The umpires on the field, the umpires in the video review room, they all agreed. Foul ball. And we talked about it earlier. We mentioned Aaron Judge in the Acuña discussion. He's not a guy that's going to vocalize. Like, he's not a guy. Even when we talked about the Judge and Soto drama, he was like, can we move on, please? Like, I don't want to talk about this. He's not a controversy. He's not going to give you a quote. He's not going to say something that's going to get him in trouble. It's just not who Aaron Judge is. And I don't think that he said something that would have gotten him in trouble on this particular play, but he did have something to say about it. And that is rare, I suppose. Aaron Judge said, quote, "It was a fair ball, but that's why we've got replay. It's not on the umpires. It's tough. I think everybody is kind of scratching their head, but there's nothing I can do about it. They missed it, and I've just got to move on." Absolutely nothing wrong with what he said. He said, here's how I feel about it. I think it was a fair ball. They got it wrong. I don't understand him saying it's not their fault. I mean, if you have the benefit of replay, then well, because I think he was probably just in the moment referring to the on the field umpires, and you might be saying, well, it is they still got it wrong on replay.
That's the point, is they did not get it wrong with replay. The on-field umpires, they did not get it wrong with replay. He could very well be referencing the umpiring crew back in New York. Sure. Who looked over it. And that's why I said, if your initial response is, well, no, they being the on-field umpires, they got it wrong, Aaron. What do you mean they didn't get it wrong? That's where he's probably saying, look, sure, obviously I didn't agree with the initial call. They went to replay. That's why we have replay, so that they could do that. But that was the call there. So it's not the guys on the field's fault for what the replay group came down with. And we're looking at it going, well, no, it's everybody's fault, because the guys on the field got it wrong. The guys back in New York got it wrong. Everybody got it wrong, Aaron. And to your point about his diplomacy, that's where he's like, look, I'm going to hit fucking 60 of these things. If you need one now, take it. It's yours. Like, oh, I'm going to hit another. But yeah, it's brutal and look, think about where they're playing. And correct me if I'm wrong, but I'm going to guess that those are the shortest foul poles in the league, outside of the ones in Sacramento that are also similarly sized. So
they have to be.
In terms of a visual reference for the umpiring crew, they're also not used to seeing balls travel that far above their visual reference points. So I'm not asking you to give them a break. I'm just asking you to understand what these umpires are dealing with when they're going and calling games in a place as much as, let me just get this out. As much as you're talking about the players having to adjust to the playing surfaces of a minor league facility, which is where they're playing in Tampa and where we're playing in Sacramento, as much as we talk about the players needing to adjust to that environment, the umpires also have to adjust to those environments. These guys are not calling minor league games in minor league facilities with minor league amenities. They're big league umpires making big league calls in big league buildings, and that is not one of them. So in the moment, to make that call where they're at, there's some variables that might be present or might not be present in other places. So just keep that in mind as well.
It's a great point, and the only thing I have to add is that the foul poles at Steinbrenner Field are 30 feet, which is the minimum for a major league stadium, which sounds fine. They've met the minimum. The foul poles at Yankee Stadium, as a point of comparison per MLB.com, are 90 feet.
So that's
3 times.
Do the math.
Think about processing that if you're an umpire to everything Dallas just said in the moment, where you're used to getting, let's say 90 is not the standard, let's say 60, 90 feet of space to determine whether it's a fair or foul ball. And in this instance, you have 30. Same thing would happen for field goal kickers in the NFL if they change the dimensions of that. It's a markedly more difficult proposition. And
it's Aaron Judge. The guy hits balls over 90-foot fair foul poles.
I mean, my point was just going to be why were the foul poles. I mean, I get that it's you fit the bare minimum of what's expected of you, but now that there's going to be MLB games played here and not spring training games, how do you not do a little bit of an upgrade? I get it's a raise. They're not looking to spend any extra dollars anywhere that they don't have to, but
and when I say it's not that easy in the grand scheme, if you have time to plan for this, you can get it done. But you're also talking about, like, just from a construction standpoint, all right, we're talking about footing, like a sizable footing, meaning where this pole resides, how deep it's going to have to reside, the base of which it's going to have support. That's going to change when you start talking about 3Xing its original size. So to make those adjustments could very well start to impact the topographical nature of the environment itself. That's something that you have to take into account. And it might not be something that they were readily able to execute and give them time to get the games going. Because you got to finish spring training, right? And then get these fucking guys in the building. And there could be a lot of reasons why that wasn't tended to initially.
Anyways, let me speak for 1 second, just a wrestling tie-in here.
No.
We're going to stay on the topic of the Yankees, but just hear me out because I'll land the plane.
Jesus.
So often and it's not just me, there's other folks in the space where if you didn't play professional baseball, where they're like, why do we care about your opinion? You didn't play Major League Baseball. I get it all the time. I usually defer to Jeff Passan, did not play Major League Baseball, Ken Rosenthal, like these people did not play Major League Baseball. So I don't get why people care if I play Major League Baseball. But in the WWE content creation space, none of them so much as have even stepped foot in the ring. And the biggest content creators, none of them are former wrestlers whatsoever. It's usually just like they're big fans that watch every single second of the programming. So they're informed enough to have an opinion. But where it differs in baseball is, wrestling is entertainment and baseball is baseball. It's a sport. And on something like the play, and this is usually what what my response is outside of deferring to, Jeff Passan did not play professionally and Ken Rosenthal did not play professionally. When something happens in a game, like Max Fried losing his no-hitter on an official scorer's interpretation of what is a hit and what is an error. Well, Jared, why should we care about your opinion? You didn't play professionally. It's like, well, because I watch probably more baseball than 99.9% of the world. I watch more baseball than most, so I can have an informed opinion. But when it comes down to something like that, I also do a podcast with a former player, Dallas Braden. So I can defer to him and shut up and listen on something where I may not be able to speak as intelligently on a certain topic. And that's why the dynamic works. So yesterday, Max Fried is working on a no-hitter. There's a play to the right side that is ruled not an error, but a hit. Why, Dallas?
Well, what a scorer takes into account is the athletes and the viability of play execution and the level of difficulty. These are all things that get factored into a play and the probability or the likelihood, as far as interpretation goes, of this play being executed. So when you now start to look at the way our game is played, the way it's defended, something that you have to take into account is the starting position of some of these defenders and maybe even where these defenders end up. So if you look at where Paul Goldschmidt initially made contact with the ball, he has ranged a fair amount to his right. Is that fair to say?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Now let me ask you a question without asking you to defend it or anything else. Would you consider his effort an extraordinary effort to get to that ball?
No.
Okay. So from there, I will then ask you to, in the moment, if you can, because this is what scorers have the ability to do when this comes across their desk, is they have the ability to look at the play and dissect the play from multiple angles, right? Maybe not in real time, but after the fact. So now you're looking at where Paul Goldschmidt made contact with the ball. You're looking at where Max Fried is at in his pursuit to first base. And you're also looking at where the runner is, who, by the way, if you're unaware of who this young man is, he basically has wings on his back because he can absolutely fucking fly. Fly. Okay? So now what you're taking into consideration is, does Paul Goldschmidt field that short hop cleanly? And if he does he get the ball to Max Fried in a timely fashion? And if he does he beat Simpson to the bag? Does Fried beat Simpson to the bag? Here's my thought.
It doesn't appear as if though he does.
And I would tell you from a pitcher's perspective, I want that call. But I can tell you now, having been removed from the game and not as a player, and having developed an eye for this, a scorer's brain, if you will, because I always want to take into account everything that everybody else that is in charge of making these decisions. I want to view the game or be able to view the game from their perspective as well. So in my professional opinion, Simpson was going to beat Max Fried to that bag, whether that ball was fielded cleanly or not. Fielded cleanly, great throw, leading Max Fried to the bag. Simpson still beats him to the bag, in my opinion. And obviously it was the same opinion as the scorer's initial opinion, right?
Mm-hmm.
And like this is where it's tough. Is like when you start to get like deeper into the game. Oh man, that's where it's really tough to make these changes. That's where it's really tough to make these changes. And I think if you talk to scorers across the game, which I do, that's kind of the sentiment as well. Is like, man, shit, I get it, but it's almost like you know how we have the unwritten rules or have had the unwritten rules, like the later you get into a ball game, you don't want to see someone try to bunt for a hit to break up the no-no or break up the perfecto. And the conversation is, well, if it's a 0-0 ball game and it's the 8th inning and the third baseman is back and I'm left-handed, why would I not try to take advantage of the field being given to me? Like, fuck that. I'm trying to get on base. I'm trying to win, trying to break this up, all of the things. So there's a little bit of that going on from the official scorer's perspective as well, which is like, oh man, this late in the game, on a play like that, like, God bless, man. We gave it an error and then we're going to go back and change it. We're going to go back and change it. Like, oh, that's just, I'm not telling you it's wrong. I'm not telling you it's wrong. I'm telling you it's something that stirs it up, if you will, when it comes to when do you make the decision? Is it right to change it late in the game surrounding a potential historic moment like that?
And the way that you talk about it, it makes perfect sense. Like I've watched it on a loop this entire time that you've spoken about this, and how far off the bag Paul Goldschmidt is. This is not something that if he fielded it cleanly, he could have taken it unassisted.
No chance.
I don't think he beats the runner unassisted. I don't think Max Fried beats the runner to the bag. Like, it's a hit. Like,
it should have been a hit. It should have been a hit from the onset. It should have been a hit from the onset for everything that I just mentioned, because Paul Goldschmidt, while not making an extraordinary effort, which means leaving his feet, right? And then this is something that gets factored in, like exit velocity. How hard was the ball hit? Is this a fucking 107 one hop to the backhand side of the shortstop in the hole who knocks it down and then comes up with a throw and bang, bang? No, that's a knock. That's a knock. So here, this was a fieldable ball, yet causing the man to range. It's going to take a well-executed and timely effort to dish the ball to Max Fried, who, in everybody's opinion, was going to get beat to the bag.
So Michael K disagrees with you. Would you like to hear what he had to say on the air?
I'd love to hear
the game?
Yeah. Sure.
You see the line, and no, you didn't miss a batter. I am absolutely flabbergasted, ladies and gentlemen. The official scorer here at Steinbrenner Field, a man by the name of Bill Matthews, has changed
Name dropped him.
E3 into a hit while the Yankees are in the dugout. Just unfathomable. Either you call it when it happens, you don't wait 3 innings to go by. It's just unbelievable. And there is Bill Matthews, and he's going to have a lot of questions thrown at him, and he's going to have to give some pretty good answers, because I can't believe that this just happened.
No, and that's the problem. It's one of those situations you got to stick with what you put up, and that's frustrating part right now. Max Fried's pitching an absolute gem. It was an error on Goldschmidt. You look back on it after the game, but right now that's something that you don't do.
Once you don't call it a hit in the 6th inning, we said they probably changed it to a hit if there was a legitimate hit, but you almost have to stay with your call at that point. To take a no-hitter away from a guy after 7 innings with an official scoring change, unbelievable, just unbelievable.
Yeah, or don't put anything up until the inning's over, then take 2 or 3 other looks at it. This is a tough one.
There's a legitimate base hit. So the one hitter is broken up. Let's put it that way. A base hit from Mangum. And here's the call that was changed, Todd.
Yeah, he reached out, touched him. Ball took a weird hop on Goldschmidt. Don't know what will happen once he fields it. Again, Simpson, really fast runner, understandably.
Time out.
Yeah.
What did Todd Frazier say? That ball what?
Took a weird hop.
Took a weird hop.
Mm-hmm.
These are just little things that factor into the decision making. And I said I completely agree with where Michael K is coming from the emotional perspective.
Yeah, it just sucks.
2 innings later?
Like, yeah, I agree. Yeah.
In the eighth inning.
That doesn't mean
in the
that you
fucking
don't
eighth
do
inning.
it, though.
We're still here. We still haven't given up a hit in the eighth inning.
That doesn't mean that you don't do it, though. Like, that doesn't mean like, hey, we're not going to do the right thing because this guy has a no-hitter. Like,
I understand. I understand because then when you start to creep into is like, and this is, I don't know if this conversation had come up, but it's like, all right, well, why can't you go back and change it for Galarraga then? If you can change it for Simpson, which is kind of the thought, right? I don't, no one believes that they're changing this to give the hit to Simpson specifically. That's not what we're talking about here, but it could be understood that, oh, well, that decision retroactively helps Simpson. Why can't we retroactively help Galarraga? Everybody knew, everybody felt the same way about the play. Everybody saw it wasn't a matter of an error. It wasn't a matter of anything. It was a matter of a wrong call. And now that we have replay in our game, we can't retroactively go back and change the course of history, to which the answer has been no, we can't, and we won't. And this didn't happen after the game. It happened in the middle of the game. And unfortunately, it happened late in the game. And it happened when he still had a no-hitter intact. That's the tough part.
Where do you sit on this, Jay?
It rubs me the wrong way to change it mid-game when I agree with your guys' characterization of the hit and the play and how it should have been scored and all of that. I'm not disputing any of that. I don't think it was so egregious in that direction, though, in being wrong, that it necessarily required a mid-game scoring change that throws off, I think, a pursuit of history to some degree. And I don't think it's that big of a deal, but like, I do think it speaks to a large changing it mid-game when it's not like, so like the Galarraga thing was like obviously wrong, right? And I know you can't change that now. I'm not necessarily advocating for it. That to me was way more egregious than this hit non-hit call. To me, it brings up a larger conversation about the obsession with earned runs versus runs overall, and just like the variation in scoring depending on who is doing the scoring, where the scoring is happening. Like I don't know if it's an underrated story or a scandal or one we don't talk about, but it definitely is one we don't talk about, that like you have human beings making these sorts of distinctions every single day. We bitch and moan about balls and strikes and how the hell could that umpire have missed that pitch that was fractionally off the plate. Oh, it's sniffing the plate. Why didn't he call it? You know, it's like, and then we have the official scorer side of it. And I'm not necessarily advocating for his name to be blasted out, but that was strong. where that's a decision where those distinctions are being made also in the moment, probably under less pressure ultimately than home plate umpiring or any other umpire situation. And we don't talk about those distinctions. Oh, it's an earned run. It's not an earned run. It impacts this guy's ERA. It doesn't impact this guy's ERA. Like, is it a big deal? I don't know, but there's a lot of unchecked variety going on as far as official scoring goes.
So to your point about unchecked variety, I had a conversation a couple years ago with an official scorer who will remain nameless, and it was regarding whether or not they understood the mechanics of a certain play. And the play in question was a pop-up behind home plate or at home plate. And the catcher dropped the ball, but the catcher never made contact with the ball. But here's the thing. Here's the caveat, is the catcher attempted to catch this pop-up while facing the field of play. So while facing the pitcher's mound, while facing second base, while facing center field, that's where the catcher was. The catcher was facing the infield, trying to catch a pop-up at home plate. The proper mechanics of that play are for the catcher to get out roughly into a space just in the cut of the dirt area and maybe on the grass, and to turn his back to the infield, because we all know that the flight path of the baseball will be bringing him back into the field of play. So that's why you turn your back to field the ball in that fashion because the mechanics of the play have told us that this is how it needs to be done. So if you understand that, then you would see the error in judgment on the player's behalf. So this isn't a ball dropping in front of an outfielder who doesn't see it in the sun. This is the catcher not executing mechanically the play that is in front of him. And if you don't have an understanding of that, and if you don't know that as an official scorer, that can obviously impact your decision-making process on whether or not this was an error, or is this something that just fell by the wayside, ball in the sun? Do you know what happened here? Do you know why this is an error? And if the answer to that is no, well, that's where the discrepancy comes into play, which is what Jay is talking about, because you have the human element not involved in the ruling of the plays per se, but in the actual ruling of the scoring of the play. This is a hit based on John Doe's interpretation of how the play unfolded. And John Doe tomorrow could be a different John Doe.
Well, it happened. I think it's less of a story because he ended up giving up a legit hit anyway. I think it becomes a massive story if he goes the rest of the way with a no-hitter, goes complete game, shut piece, and that's the only hit is the one that was changed by the score. Then it's a massive story. But even, let's just say for the sake of argument.
But Jared.
Yeah.
That scorer would have an opportunity to go back and change it again.
But that would be such bullshit because
for sure,
just by your description, it's like that's a hit.
It happens all the time. Players will like, and I'm telling you right now, if that would have gone for an error, the Rays would have been able to say, hey, you know what? We're going to make a phone call this morning. And what happens is that play gets sent to MLB. It gets sent to their contingency of evaluators who all watch the video and then type in a response to basically a group chat. And that's where it's decided. 4 of us think you're an idiot and this is an error. Well, the other 3 of us think that's a hit. Well, let's do the math. 4 think it's not. 3 do. Guess who wins? The majority.
Yeah. Take the Yankee thing out of it. I know I was doing the whole shebang earlier with Jazz. Like, yes, the Jazz thing was the ball. I just looking at the play, and I love Max Fried. I would love to see Max Fried throw a no-hitter.
No doubt.
Level,
come on.
But just like objectively looking at the play.
Yeah.
Like Goldie's not making that unassisted, and Fried's not beating Simpson to the bag.
No. So in whichever world you live in, he was getting to the base. It's just a matter of whether or not it's via error or via knock.
Yeah.
Chandler Simpson might be the worst thing to happen to official scoring in decades.
Simply, and I know exactly where Jay Hayes coming from, because if there is just a slight stumble, a slight bobble or whatever, you now, like with this dude, it's like if you don't field it cleanly, like fucking standing on the bag, you might not get him.
Question to ask you guys. I hate that this team keeps coming up in a negative light, but do the Orioles suck?
It's kind of looking like they're not great.
Should we ask our pal RDT? I feel like he'd shoot us straight.
It's gonna be a therapy sesh.
Yeah, he's a little too positive, but we'll correct him if he is.
Yeah, all right, let's give him a call. Let's see what he says. I think he'd be objective about it.
Well, if he says they don't suck, we'll know.
Yeah.
Hello.
Hey, pal.
Hi, friend.
So we just finished talking about Jazz Chisholm getting ejected and Max Fried getting his no-hitter taken away via the official scorekeeper. But we just stumbled upon the topic of the Baltimore Orioles. We didn't even dive deep. I kind of just, we were planning on talking about the Orioles, big picture, whole season, not just the blowout loss from over the weekend. And I just kind of posed the question, are the Orioles bad? And I didn't even let Dallas and Jay answer that. I said, you know what? Let's call RDT and let's get an in-depth Orioles in the mud take on this, because I think it's only fair that we start the conversation there.
Well, you're telling me I'm finding out for the first time that they lost yesterday. I was celebrating a wonderful Easter.
Mm-hmm.
So I kind of, disconnected, didn't really look at my phone or anything like that. Actually saved some goats. One had his head stuck in the fence, so I can provide pictures. So I was just kind of being a good human, and not really paying attention. So I didn't even know they lost yesterday.
They did, yeah.
So I'm not even. Was there any? Can you provide a quick summary, or nothing really happened?
It was not a tightly contested ball game.
No. Huh. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Well, Charlie Morton was pitching, and he was one of the big pickups in the offseason.
Mm-hmm.
So I would assume that he probably lowered his ERA and probably, I don't know, at least gave them a competitive outing, I would think.
So I think I saw somewhere this morning that every Orioles pitcher who entered the game yesterday now has an ERA of 10 or higher.
That's pretty cool. We've never seen that before.
Mm-hmm. That's history, brother.
Yeah,
you'll never forget where you were when you read that.
Mm-hmm.
Let me sum it up for you this way, RDT.
Please do, Jay.
Their 9-hole hitter got 6 hits. It's never happened before until yesterday.
Wow.
That is
Yeah,
incredible.
that would probably be cause for concern.
How old are you? How old are you, son? How old are you?
I am 36 years old.
Oh, so many good years ahead of you. So many good years ahead of you. The last time that the Reds scored more runs than they did yesterday while you were celebrating Easter, you were 10 years old.
Wow.
Yep. That sounds about right. It's a problem. It is a problem. I do enjoy seeing Jay Hayes tweets about like who could have seen this coming, that the Orioles pitching is absolutely abysmal, and they got, I will say, Sagano at 35, he's been good, but when you're trying to fill a hole left by Corbin Burns and you fill it with Charlie Morton and again, all these older guys, it's not going to work. Not in the AL East, not in the ACC, not in, the Saugus Memorial League. It's just not going to happen.
No. The good thing, Charlie Morton only allowed 1 home run yesterday.
Well, surely on Saturday night when Brendan Hyde was talking about the good win that they had, and he said, yeah, our bullpen is taxed, we're going to need a good long outing from Charlie Morton. Hopefully he made it more than like 7 outs, right?
Well, see, the thing is, he was able to record 7 outs.
Oh, sick.
But not more than.
Not more than, but right on the nose of.
And it was more like I'll record an out and then like we can swap an out for a run. And there's times in the baseball game, RDT, where you are more than willing to trade an out for a run.
Mm-hmm.
But like as far as like even across
Every
the
out.
board, like 1-to-1, like that's an interesting way to go about it. And I know
It's a bad exchange rate. Yeah.
Chuck Moe is a veteran, and I would never put it past him to come up with something as far as creativity goes, a new way to go about this exchange.
No.
But upon first glance, this exchange is not an ideal exchange.
I'm putting it past him. I do think you guys are being a little hard, though, because if you pull up Charlie Morton's baseball reference page, not short on black ink this year. It just depends on your half full, half empty perspective. Leads the league in games started, losses, and earned runs.
No,
so
no more.
That's the new Triple Crown, right?
Yeah.
Can you believe that was the last Orioles game the Pope saw before he died, too?
Yeah, that's true. That's tough.
Oh.
That is
what a way to go out.
Speaking of going out, RDT, does Charlie Morton make it to the end? Like, do the Orioles tell Charlie Morton that he's hurt, or does he retire? Because I don't think he's making it to September as an Oriole.
No, I don't think he's making it to the All-Star break. I don't think he can make another start for them. I think if they're if they're serious about still trying, and again, they're 2.5 games out of a wild card spot. It sucks to be talking about this and the day after Easter. But I mean, if they want to try and turn this thing around, I don't think you could have them start anymore. I think you got to tell them, we're either going to hide you in the bullpen, we're going to hide you in there, or you can go on the IL with the shoulder strain. You can step in the pothole that Ubaldo used to step in all the time when Buck would put him on the IL. You got to figure something out. Or if you're Big Daddy Warbucks Rubenstein, who wanted the Magna Carta, so he bought it and has all this money, you eat the $15 million and you say, yeah, this was a mess up. And, getting a 41-year-old arm in there it was not the move. It never was the move. And we're going to cut our ties and move along. But you can't really do that because they don't have any healthy arms right now. Maybe when Eflin comes back or, I don't know. One of the other guys, Kyle Gibson, is 37 and he looked great, over the weekend in high A. But I don't know. It's an interesting conundrum.
Yeah. Hey, I just want to be a voice of reason here for you, bud. And I just want to remind you that if you were serious about anything, there would have been something done in the off season.
Mm-hmm. 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 And now we're facing this. Are we wasting? I'm already seeing the articles. Like, are we wasting Gunnar Henderson's prime? Are we wasting Jackson Holliday's prime? Are we wasting Adley?
Yes, the answer is yes. What do you mean? Are we?
Would love to see Jackson Holliday's prime before we talk about wasting it, but yeah.
Yeah, we're currently low blow. We're currently in the middle of that window, like being shut. Like 3 years ago, the window ajar, the window widely ajar. Right now, that window is half closed in my mind. Half closed.
It feels like they've renovated and there's not even a window there anymore. There used to be a window and they've just boarded it up. And there is no window. We are windowless.
And I got to tell you, I'm pissed about it. I am pissed about it because there's so much talent here. There's so much talent. There's no reason. There is just no reason to not support it. I couldn't imagine.
Can I wasn't going to say this before, but now that you said it that way, I'm going to pose it. Can we start to ask some tough questions about when people who have been designated as the most important talent on this team are going to start playing like it? Because it's awesome that Cedric Mullins is off to a fantastic start, and we all love Cedric Mullins, but like that's not going to sustain an OPS north of 1,000, and he's not the sort of person that's going to thrust this team to the next direction. Like Ramon Urias having a nice start to the season, great, 389 OBP, fine. 54 plate appearances. When is Adley Rutschman going to get back to the centerpiece that we were talking about 2 seasons ago? When is Jordan Westburg going to build on what we saw through a large portion of 2024? When is Jackson Holliday going to be the most hyped or follow through on being the most hyped prospect in the last decade or half decade? Gunnar Henderson, I'm willing to give a second because he was an MVP candidate last season. Heston Kjerstad, like the time is now. If he's going to seize this opportunity. Obviously Kowser's injured, but like that would be what I would want to hear from RDT is like, we all know the pitching sucks and probably will continue to suck, but like the only pathway for this team was this supposedly great offense that needs to be justified, have pitching justified for it. And on the same time, we're not really seeing any of these players perform that way in real life.
You're spot on. I mean, we've I have friends who have talked about it for a while. I mean, you look at Adley's numbers after the All-Star break last year, and the team will say he wasn't hurt. He'll say he wasn't hurt. I think it's pretty clear he was banged up. And yeah, people are still waiting on him to take that next step. Real Muto has probably passed him. Will Smith has passed him. Contreras. There's a handful of catchers who I would put probably higher, a better catcher than Adley. So we're kind of waiting for that All-American Golden Boy, tackled Christian McCaffrey in high school, in college, all this stuff, the urban legends and rumors to kind of manifest and show us who he's going to be. And he hit a home run yesterday to go down 22. So that was fun. But yeah, he hasn't been the same since the All-Star break last year. Don't know what really goes into that. Same thing, Westburg just broke an 0 for 30 slump. Jackson, I mean, I'm perfectly fine with him sitting against lefties. I think he's getting like $1.25 against them, but a superstar 1-1 doesn't sit against lefties. You're not a platoon guy.
Yeah, it's fine if tactically you're okay with Jackson Holliday sitting against lefties right now because the Orioles are trying to win games. If we rewind this conversation to 13 months ago, the idea that that's where the conversation would be when we have RDT on to talk the Orioles sounds insane. Like
it is.
We have completely changed what the perception is or the expectations are of some of these key contributors. And you're like, oh yeah, JT Realmuto is probably past Adley Rutschman. First of all, I'm not even sure Adley ever got past JT Realmuto. But secondly, JT Realmuto is like 8 years, 6 years, 5 years, whatever he is, older than Adley Rutschman. Like this should be Adley's prime. He was an MVP candidate for some, and justifiably so. And it can't just be Gunnar Henderson. It can't just be like these other guys that we heard so much time talking about have to deliver at some point.
That's my concern. That's my concern with this group. And because I believe Gary Sanchez is the elder statesman of the position player group on this team. And if that's the case, your two best players on this team right now are the other two elder statesmen on this club in Ryan O'Hearn and Ramon Urias. So, and those guys are 31 years old. 31 years old, which means you've got a fairly young group of more than one conceivable MVP candidate. At least that's what we've been told over these last few years, right? Look, Adley was supposed to come with that billing. I think Jackson Holliday clearly comes with that billing. Gunnar Henderson comes with that billing. There had been talks about Jordan Westberg growing into that type of player. Like, if that's the case, I mean, the fact that you could put all of those younger guys and their names, like Adley, Holliday, Gunnar, and Westberg, all cumulatively do not equate to what you're getting from Urias and O'Hearn combined. Like that's tough. Your two best players combined have a 1.1 B-WAR. And then you take Adley, Holliday, Gunnar, and Westberg and combine them together, and they're not hitting that mark. That's problematic.
It's not great. Again, everyone, I mean, the panic button has been hit, it's been slammed, and everyone's kind of wondering when. Again, we have all the pieces. The pieces are here. We ordered them. They're sitting in the driveway. Now you got to build the house.
But
you had the foundation, and you got nothing to show for it right now. And they're trending downward.
You brought up ownership. Like, who knew when we were talking Magna Carta money that he was just interested in buying old washed things as opposed to having lots of money. But is there any talk locally of like, what's kind of going on there? Is this kind of like a biding time sort of thing? Or is there like a little bit of panic that what was thought to be kind of a new kind of investment in present day ownership is not such?
I mean, there's definitely panic. I think it's more from these kind of crazy, it's like these 25-year-old kids who have been Ravens fans their whole life. So they've seen nothing but success. And in 2022, when the Orioles got good and they were like, oh, they have these fun players, we're going to jump on there. It's guys who are like overreacting to every single loss. Like a loss in May, you have people like trying to like drive to a bridge and drive off, but we don't have one. But yeah, people are definitely worried. Cause again, they're like, you came in here with your checkbook open. And again, what do we have to show for it? Nothing. There's no extensions. Every other team in baseball, I think, has signed a young player to an extension. I think since 2019, obviously, Rubenstein wasn't there for that, but there's been no movement on that. Again, they're not, and it would be fine if they were going out and if they got Corbin Burns back, or if they, I don't know, kept Anthony Santander or anything like that. Not that he's doing anything, but people are worried. They're like, why buy the team if you're not going to do anything? And the rumor was that Rubenstein had told Elias, you have my full backing on any move you want to make. This isn't a money thing. So, go out and make stuff happen. So he said that he's been open. He's willing to spend and has no problem of, handing a check over. The check just hasn't been written yet. He's sitting there wanting to spend money, but there's been nothing to come of it. So I don't know where that falls. I guess on the front office, and them not. It seems like they don't want to swing and miss and be on the other end of an Albert Bell, Chris Davis type deal again. That's what it seems like, which is not how you can construct and go about a baseball season.
No, I'm actually more intrigued by the fact that you have said you've hit the panic button. Like, even like, we're talking mid-April. There's no part of you that's like, hey, it's mid-April. We're going to figure this out. Like, you actually have genuine concerns for this Baltimore Orioles team.
Oh, absolutely. I think the offense will come around again. Gunnar missed a month. I think he'll be back to old Gunnar. I'm just believing in Adley because I don't know, I'm a more positive guy. Same thing with Westberg. I think they're too good to slump for this long, and I'm hoping that this isn't who they are, and it's just, again, a little blip on the radar. But pitching-wise, if you have to, again, you got nobody going right now, really, besides for Sagano. But if you're going to have to hope for Zach Eflin and Grayson Rodriguez, who probably isn't coming back, and Kyle Gibson and Tyler Wells and all these guys coming back from injuries, it's not going to work out. It's like putting all your eggs in the injured pitching, especially in today's baseball world, where if you step on the mound, you're going to get hurt. That's just how it is. It's just when and how. Like that's just what it is. So if you're depending on all those guys to come back to stabilize the rotation, it's nothing. I mean, you got no hope there. I don't think if one of them hits, if Eflin comes back and it's fine, then yeah, okay, we're going to be in a better spot. But I mean, that rotation isn't winning anything. They have to hope for Eflin or some of the guys to come back, and then you also got to make trades. Again, we have guys in the minors still. Like, go get Sandy. Get one of those guys, get a big arm, and try and turn this thing around now. And hopefully you can run it back next year as well. But yeah, there's legit panic, among Orioles fans.
Was there an update on Colton Cowser? I know they said, what was it, 6 to 8 weeks for the thumb? Like, do we know if that's on the longer or the shorter end of the spectrum? I'm
guessing longer. That's all I've heard. I know I talked to his dad on opening day and kind of just said the good thing. I guess I think it was a clean kind of break and fracture. Like it's fracture if you want to say it. But it wasn't like ligaments or tendons or anything like that. But he broke his other hand in the last playoff game last year. So now he's got two dinged up hands. But we'll so hopefully I don't know, 5 more weeks. My daughter constantly asks, "Has it been 8 weeks yet? Has it been 8 weeks?" Because Cowser is her favorite. So I'm keeping tabs on that. But hopefully once he's back, then your lineup starts to look a little bit more like what you thought it would.
Wow. Talk about spreading that positivity on a Monday morning. Thank you, RDT. That was fantastic. Do you have anything else that you'd like to add?
I'm kind of shocked you're not at the game right now. I kind of figured you would be.
Yeah, everyone says that, but like we do BID on Monday mornings. So
yeah,
I'm
not
here.
As dedicated as you'd think, right? Big Patriot Day.
I thought you were married to the game.
At the ballpark.
Yeah, married to the game. The game is the pod. The
no,
people.
The game is the game. The pod is the pod.
No, the game is the game. The game is the biz. The game is the people. Giving the people the content that they crave.
Yeah, I guess. All right. Well, you know what? You make an appearance on Netflix. You can kind of do whatever you want.
I mean, people have been saying that. They're like, all right, like it's Dwayne The Rock Johnson, it's Dan Peralt, it's Jared Carrabis. Those are the 3 biggest stars that Netflix has right now.
Yeah, I would throw Coley in there too.
Coley's face. Oh yeah, Coley's face does appear. You're right. For like a split second, they do show Coley's face. No Steve though.
It's bogus.
Well, they were like, we only have room for one Peralt, and if we're gonna have to choose between the 2, it's obviously gonna be Dan. So
they blew all their Peralt budget.
Yeah,
on Dan.
yeah, they did.
Sounds like a Peralt assault to me.
Yeah. They absolutely blew through their Peralt budget on The Residents, which is on Netflix, March 20th. Go check it out. It's 8 episodes. Great show. All right, RDT. Thank you for making the time for us today.
Yeah, I appreciate you getting me in a great mood on a Monday morning as I was flushing everything. Oh, by the way, if you guys did want to know, the Orioles today, like this morning, just came out. You can now stream their game. So perfect timing. Literally this morning.
Perfect.
Masson was like, you guys can now pay extra money to watch this team on your computer. So you can throw it across the train while you're taking the train to New York City.
There you go. Sign on up. You come catch the fever. Catch the fever.
Yeah. Orioles magic. Feel it happen.
Yep. Let's go O's. That's what they're saying. All right, RDT. Thank you so much.
Bye, guys.
Later.
It's Barstool RDT. Let's see. Do you want anything from Dunks? I would love a bacon, egg, and cheese on a plain bagel, please.
If you're going to start talking like that, we better wrap this pot up because that's just not fair.
Oh, you don't like breakfast sandwiches?
No, I do.
You do? Oh, am I getting you hungry?
Yes.
Oh, all right. Well, the Sox
I'm just
are
kidding.
playing the Sox right now.
We don't have to rush. I was just playing around.
Well, I mean, it's the bottom of the third inning here of a 1-1 ball game.
I'm glad Ref Snyder got you. I saw you celebrate. I know butts were a little tight there when you went down 1-0 to the White Sox again.
Oh,
I mean,
man.
you just can't let these things snowball, you know?
No.
Well, I mean, you've already dropped the season series to the Pale House. The Battle of the Sucks.
True. That's not true.
It's true.
It's not true. They
You play them again?
They're playing right now. So they lost 2 out of 3 that first series. They've so far taken 2 out of 3, and then they're playing right now.
Hold on. You didn't know you got swept the first series, right?
No, we didn't.
You sure about that?
Yes.
You sure about that?
Jake, tell this fucking idiot. Tell this Wyoming motherfucker that the Red Sox won a game in that series.
Yep. 2 out of 3 lost.
Thank you, Jake.
I don't think so.
I mean, that's fine. You're free to think whatever you want. That's what's amazing about this country. You can, if you want to say the Red Sox got swept, then you can absolutely say that. Should I add a coffee to this order?
I would.
And a medium French vanilla ice with mocha too, please. Yeah, I need a coffee, brother. Whew. All right.
Those of us parents of multiple kids, we get it, right? I'm probably going to go get myself a coffee after this.
As the father of a child who can now drive, it's excellent. It's like having free DoorDash.
I should put my daughter in that little pink car we got her and send her.
Yeah, send her down the
coffee.
street to go to like a lemonade stand.
Yeah,
that sounds terribly unsafe. Hey, make sure she's wearing a helmet.
Oh yeah. Yep. Still working on driving straight.
Yeah.
One too many soda pops.
All right. Is there any other story, Jay Hay, that stands out to you that you absolutely want to sink your little nerdy teeth into?
I have nugs that I want to get to before we wrap up. And in terms of officials, and I did want to, I was going to hit on the Orioles. So I'm really glad that we had RDT on because I wanted to make sure that got hammered.
Mm-hmm.
I did want to call out, I'm never one to kick Pittsburgh when it's down, or the Pirates when they're down.
No.
But
you?
No. But
No.
But I did want to call out just when you have a line for a bobblehead that is bigger news than anything your team has done on the field this season, and then you promptly proceed to score 0 runs against Ben Lively and the Cleveland Guardians in support of that excitement and that bobblehead for Paul Skenes. That's embarrassing, I think, and probably is worth mentioning. Paul Skenes' comments after the game, I'm not going to say that local media lacked feel because I don't know any of those people, and I don't want to base it off of Skenes' comments. But that man clearly had no interest in talking about his bobblehead or the line for it coming off of a loss where his team scored no runs and continued to sink. I mean, it's very early in the season, obviously, but the Pirates are 8-15 in 5.5 games out of the Central. We're getting, from a competitive standpoint, Paul Skenes is looking at this. We're 23 games into the year, and he's probably thinking we are very quickly approaching territory where it matters to me how I do, but it's not going to matter in the standings, really, or for the competitive juices. What I'm doing. And that's got to be incredibly frustrating for a guy with his expectations, given what we talked or how he talked to us in the spring. So did want to call out the Pirates and their inability to support their guy. I mean, they almost fucking scored 0 runs again yesterday. I mean, I don't know what the exact number was, but it was like 16 or 17 innings straight of 0 runs scored.
Dallas, how are the A's doing as someone who has invested in their season?
Well, the A's track team, nowhere near as good as the track team in Milwaukee. I can tell you that. Because the track team in Milwaukee that played a baseball game yesterday looked great on both ends. On both ends. Yeah, I think it was 10 stolen bases. 9 or 10. I don't know. I quit counting, honestly, at some point. I think it may have even been after the first inning I quit counting. Because I think there were 4.
It was a franchise record, Dallas.
Yeah, that was tough to watch. That was tough to watch, especially as a left-handed pitcher who took a lot of pride in eliminating the running game. That was not fun to watch. It was an opportunity to get back to 500. And really, I mean, a successful road trip as it is, but still an opportunity to have a really successful road trip. Came off the road 5-2, could have been 4-2, could have been 5-1, but yeah, just not a great day on the base path. Or I should say, it was a great day on the base path for the Milwaukee Brewers. Not a great day for the crossing guards for the Athletics.
Yeah. Want to give a shout out to a very special performance this weekend.
It's not always about the money, Spider-Man. It's about the Mets, baby. Love the Mets. All right, baby. Let's go. Get a home run, baby. Love the Mets. Let's go, Mets.
Big time sweep for the Mets, baby. They swept the St. Louis Cardinals.
That's tough.
Tough for the Cards, but man, after, I'm seeing all this content, all these Mets content creators, and they're pissed about Juan Soto and the start he's gotten off to and this and that. Be happy that you're in first place, brother. Give your guy some grace. There must be massive, massive anxiety and pressure that comes with signing the largest contract in North American professional sports history, and then adjusting to a new team. I mean, the guy's been adjusting to a new team every year for the last 7 years. Like let him settle in. Once he gets comfy, then Juan Soto is going to be Juan Soto. Make him feel welcome. Make him feel at home. But the Mets have won 4 straight games. They're playing damn near 700 ball, and they've got a nice, it's not a comfy lead, but, they've got a 2-game lead on them fighting Phils in the NL East. Be happy, Mets fans. Like, what will make you heathens happy?
I'm not saying that this is going to make them happy, but I almost feel like the way that the Mets have achieved their success has almost not thrown people off the scent, but like this was anticipated to be a very potent offense with some questionable starting pitching and, maybe a middle of the road bullpen or whatever. That's not at all what's been the case. It's been a middle of the road, maybe even below average offense with some of the very best, if not the best overall pitching in baseball. They have the best ERA by the rotation and the third best by the bullpen. And nobody looking at the names, certainly from the rotation side, would have anticipated either one of those. And the interesting part about the bullpen note is that they have the third best bullpen ERA, while the guy who is probably more notable than every other bullpen contributor combined, Edwin Diaz, has not been very effective. He's got an ERA north of 5 and 8 2/3. So like it's every other person who's contributing there. And when the names are what they are, maybe that's a little bit under the radar. But, I think the single most important development for the Mets, at least is, in my opinion, has been that Kodai Senga looks like a front of the rotation pitcher again, because he definitely was that in 2023. And I know his swing and miss and his strikeout stuff's not all the way back, but that he has looked so convincing through his first 4 starts, in addition to, I know that Clay Holmes back and forth it's been a little bit of a roller coaster, but that he has adjusted to the rotation as well as he has. I just, I know we all took the Mets seriously, but this is very much a 3-team division if the Braves ever get their act together, and the Mets may be good enough where it doesn't matter.
Fair. Tough break for Jay Hay in the Roman Anthony Rookie of the Year conversation. Christian Campbell 2-run base hit to the right side for a 4-1 ball game. Tough for Dallas's narrative that the Red Sox were somehow going to lose a series to the White Sox. Like, that's obviously not happening either. So,
well, I mean, okay, so I wasn't going to do this, but now that you kind of threw a little shade at me, like I'm starting to hear some things about how they're keeping Roman Anthony down as some sort of like kind of multi-layered conspiracy, and to prevent my Rookie of the Year win is absolutely
it's
part
disgusting.
of the tapestry there.
It's deplorable. Yeah. I could
it
see
also
that being
speaks
the
how
case.
big this podcast has gotten.
Right. Yeah. I mean,
number one baseball podcast in the country,
in the world.
Yeah,
I believe they're listening to us in Puerto Rico as well.
That makes a lot of sense. I mean, obviously, AC
going international.
What's the number, Jake? What's the number one baseball podcast in Argentina?
Joke, yeah.
Offhand, I'm pretty sure it's Baseball is Dead.
Yeah.
That sounds right.
I haven't looked at the Argentinian baseball podcast charts this week, but last time I checked it was us, number one.
Are we crushing in Istanbul?
Yes, I think so. Yeah.
Throw a dart at the map.
What about Denmark?
We be crushing.
Yeah. So good job by us. It's big time. Shout out one last shout out to Matt Chapman. That's big time on his regard to reach
Headliner.
the Baines Institute.
Yep. I'm really happy for him. I got emotional when I saw his performance last night and knew what we'd wake up to today, ticking over the line. And I just hope he's happy. I hope his family's happy. Parents, spouse, children, all of it. Special day. Special man.
Let's do final thoughts / nugs / what are we looking forward to this week, Jay Hay?
Oh man. I mean, there's some decent stuff on the slate. Nothing last week I feel like was just an incredible week as far as pitching matchups go. We don't necessarily have those slated on paper yet, but Padres, Tigers, and Mets, Phillies both kick off today, later today, which are obviously interesting series for different reasons. A lot of first place action there. Mets, Padres, and Tigers all currently in first place. And then Dodgers, after an off day today, Dodgers, Cubs resume for a 2-gamer on Tuesday, which is obviously 2 more high-level clubs, one of whom is in first place. So I'm looking forward to all of that. And then some nugs. I already mentioned that 9-hole hitter who recorded the 6 hits was Austin Wynns. So congrats to him. There had been 27 instances of a 9-hole hitter getting 5.
You gonna be all right?
Wow. Incredible nug. 27 instances of a 9-hole hitter getting 5 hits prior to him becoming the first to get 6. Pete Alonso's 1.171 OPS is the third highest through a player's first 22 games in Mets franchise history, behind only 1999 John Olerud and 2005 Mike Cameron. Hopefully that's enough to get Juan Soto's respect. Fernando Tatis Jr. is the third player in the wild card era. He just keeps doing it. Your boy keeps doing it, Jared.
That's right.
8 or more homers, 7 or more stolen bases, 16 or more RBI, and 22 or more runs scored through the first 21 games of a season. That's along with Carlos Beltran in 04 and Larry Walker in 97. I feel like Aaron Judge has had the most under the radar 1,200 plus OPS start to a season in Major League Baseball history.
I don't think it's underrated. I think it's just
expected.
Yes. It's not that we don't know that it's happening. It's not that we don't appreciate how great it is. I think it's just we've come to expect it. And so we're aware that it's going on. And it's like, yep, that's just Judgy being Judgy, you know?
I think that's totally fair. Better way to describe it for sure. he is the 7th player in the AL in the wild card era to start hitting 390 or better with a 1200 or better OPS through 22 games. The others to do so: Mike Trout in 21, Gary Sanchez in 2016, Robinson Cano in 2010. So plenty of Yankees on this list. Joe Mauer and Kevin Youkilis in 2009, and Manny Ramirez in 1995. Jacob Wilson, aka Jay Willie,
Yeah.
is the first player since Mickey Hatcher in 1985 to have 3 or fewer strikeouts. I love this. I'm tracking this until he walks. 3 or fewer strikeouts and 0 walks through the first 21 games of a season, minimum 80 plate appearances. So Dallas has raved about how unique his game is in the modern context. Couldn't be more true. Haven't seen somebody done this since the year I was born, 1985. Yes, I am old and washed. Michael, sorry, hold on one second. I had it pulled up. Charlie Morton. I'm glad again that we did this one properly because it's been a really rough start. I looked at starting pitchers in the wild card era, so since 1995, to start a season with in a minimum of 20 innings pitched, an ERA of 10 or greater, and 5 losses in 5 starts. The only examples of that are Charlie Morton this season, Josh Towers in 2006 for the Blue Jays, Edgar Gonzalez for the 2004 Arizona Diamondbacks, and Jim Abbott for the 1999 Milwaukee Brewers. So very hard to do what Charlie Morton has done, which is be bad and get credit for being bad in every start by getting the loss. So lots to be proud of there. And Michael Toglia, oh boy. Gosh. 35 strikeouts this season. 35 strikeouts. The man has not reached 80 plate appearances yet. He has 35 strikeouts. Here are the examples of players to rack up 35 or more strikeouts and a sub 500 OPS through the first 20 games of a season. Him this season, Jose Barrero in 2002, and then let me know if you notice anything similar about the following names. Noah Syndergaard in 2019, Mike Cuellar in 1971, Jim Palmer in 1971, Bob Veal in 1968, Jerry Koosman in 1968, and Sandy Koufax in 1962. That's the live ball era since 1920. 35 or more strikeouts, sub 500 OPS. So it's him, Jose Barrero, and a bunch of
pitchers.
Yikes. That's no good because Toglia is a hitter.
Yeah.
And in fact, a first baseman and a right fielder. So, primarily first base this year, but really should be providing some offense. Plays his home games at Coors Field, league leading 35 strikeouts. Also pairs that with 2 walks. He's doing nothing other than striking out is kind of my point here.
Mm-hmm.
At
least he's not grounding into double plays.
He has 1 double play. So at least
he's limiting that.
Anyway, I hope
he's only making 1 out at a time, which is that's important to me.
Yeah.
Hope his season turns around. 46% strikeout rate is what we call not sustainable. At least not at the big league level. You can try and sustain it at the minor league level if you want, but
Mason Miller's is a little higher.
Yeah. Yeah, that's actually, you know what? That's a great point, Dallas. It's as if every single pitcher that Michael Toglia is facing is Mason Miller.
Yeah, it's
good perspective.
Anyway, those are the nugs.
Thank you, Jay. Hey, Dallas, any final thoughts today?
Yeah, as we were, I will always tell this story when I hear the name Edgar Gonzalez pop up. Just an absolutely sweltering day at the ballpark. Sweltering. Just a grotesque day at the ballpark. And we have ammonia buckets in the bullpen. Ammonia buckets with towels in them so that you can just take the towel off, put it on your head, and catch your breath, kind of freshen you up, right? Well, these buckets, there's one in the bullpen too. And for the first 3 innings of the ball game, my man Edgar was drinking out of the wrong bucket. He was drinking out of the ammonia bucket and not the drinking water bucket. So Edgar got into the ball game. Edgar had to make a few pit stops because let's just say it was coming out hot, and I'm not talking about his fastball. All right. So it was, and Edgar is one of the fucking funniest dudes ever, man. Ever. Oh, he's hilarious. And it was, every bit of it was funny. Every bit of it was funny. I will also take this time to remind you, because I just thought about this. I believe Chandler Simpson is also, didn't he tag up on a sac fly to center field from second base and score? I believe so. There's footage of this. So that I just remembered this. That's how fast this dude is. So when we're talking about beating a pitcher, beating Max Fried to first base, this is a guy who has enough speed to tag up from second base on a deep fly ball to center field, but he tagged up from second base and scored. I'm just going to say that one more time.
I'm watching the clip. It's from college.
He tagged up from second base and scored. Okay, so that's that. I just want to get that out there. So when you're going, he's not that fucking fast. Really, he's not that. Well, he's
pretty fast. Yeah,
pretty fast.
Jake's takes.
Just excited to watch my Red Sox take the season series from the White Sox. They've each played 3 games, gone 3-3. So this is their 7th and final game of the season. Whoever wins that game wins the season series, and that's how that works.
Yep, that's exactly how that works. Today we decide who the true Sox are, and it's looking like it's going to be our Red Sox. So I'm excited about that. London week is upon us. So I think I'm going to be able to do the pod Wednesday morning. And then from there, it's in God's hands. I'm going to be 5 hours ahead. I'm still going to be watching the games, doing the podcast, just clenching my butt cheeks to just hold on tight and not miss a show. I don't want to let the people down. And that, RDT, is what Married to the Game is all about. 5 hours ahead in London, still doing podcasts, still watching games. That's what Married to the Game is all about.
That's what it's about, baby.
So, all right. We will see you guys on Wednesday. And enjoy some morning baseball today. It's a nice special day. I believe that there's another 11 a.m. game on the schedule somewhere else, Jay. Do you know anything about this?
Like today or just in general? Like
No, in general. Waldo? I think there's another 11 a.m. game on the schedule. I don't know who's playing it.
It's probably another important day to fans that you just don't give a shit about. That could be said. Some are saying that.
Well, then you must know that, Dallas.
Well, yeah, it's that one, but it's not my place. You know.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
I'll be there, but
Jay, hey, you are muted, my friend.
I was just saying that's a good point. Dallas just kind of stay in his lane, you know.
Yeah.
I mean, I'll be at the game, so
yeah.
I
the other 11 o'clock game you'll be at.
Yeah,
you will be.
Yep.
Oh, I didn't know they played professionally in Wyoming.
Yeah, they do.
Good to know.
Yellowstone Adult League.
All right. We'll see everyone on Wednesday.